Okay, so now let's turn to page 8 of your lab manual. In page 8, we're going to teach you how to use micropipettes. At every bench, there's going to be a carousel that each bench will share. And every 2 students sitting diagonally is going to share a set of 3 pipettes. Okay, and there's 3 colors, blue, yellow, and peach. Okay, that's one set of pipette. Now, what is this for? This is for measuring very little amount of liquid that we'll be using throughout the semester and way into your career here. Okay, so this is a very important bench side ability. Now, right here, you're going to see how there's 3 types on your lab manual. There's P1000, P200, and P20. Okay, so you can make a note on there where you said the P1000 is the blue one and the P200 is the yellow one and the P20 is actually the peach one. Okay, so what I mean is on the top you can see how that's P1000 yellow, P200, and peach 20, and they actually have the corresponding number right on top. Okay, the next thing is, let's say I want to measure 800 microliter. That's what my protocol says. Okay, check your unit. That's the first thing. Unit is very important. If your lab manual says 0.8 milliliter, sorry. Milli is different than micro. And then you have to do the unit conversion back to micro. So milli to micro is 3 orders, 1, 2, 3. So actually 0.8 milliliter is 800 microliter. Okay, so that's the first thing. Look at your protocol. What are you trying to pipette? Make sure the unit is in microliter. Now that you know it's in microliter, 800 microliter, you go and look at your page 8 on your lab manual and say, well, what does 800 fall into? Is it 200, between 200 and 1,000? Is it between 20 and 200 or 2 and 20? 800 falls in 200 to 1,000, right? That's pretty easy. Okay, so which one do I grab? Well, 200 to 1,000, I need to grab the blue one. Perfect, blue one. So I got the blue one out. Now, how do I hold this? Okay, if you're right-handed like me, there's going to be a window. You point that towards the left, and your fingers point towards the window. That's how you hold it. And put your thumb on top of the plunger. This is going to suck up liquid, okay? But we're not going to suck up with just this thing. We need a tip. We're going to talk about that later. Now, the next thing is I need to dial it to the correct amount, okay? So how do I dial a P1000? Let's write down the tip for this one. For P1000, you're going to imagine an extra 0. That's the tip. What do you mean? Let's look. Okay. Let's say right now your setting is this. Can you read it? No, you can't. Let me get it. Okay. That's 100. You're like, hey, I can read that. 100, right? I'm getting 100 microliters. Nope, you're going to imagine an extra 0. So it's going to be 100. What does that mean? 1,000. So when you dial P1000 to 100, you're actually going to measure 1,000 microliter. And that is written right here. When you get P1000 and dial to 100, you're actually getting 1,000 microliters. So again, the trick is you're going to imagine an extra 0 for all of this. That means when you dial to 050 on a P1000, you're actually measuring 500. So how do I get 800? What do I dial to? What do I dial to? Do I dial 800? Because you're going to imagine a 0, and that means 8,000. You cannot do that. You're going to break the micropipettes. Don't ever go beyond 100 because it can only go up to 1,000. Remember that. So what do you dial it to? Anybody? What should I dial it to? You're going to imagine a 0. So 800 is like this, and the top should be a 0. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to do you see 0 on top? I'm going to do 0, 8, 0, and then imagine a 0. 0, 8, 0 with an imaginary 0, that means 800. Once I have dialed that correctly, now I can pipette. Okay, so read, make sure you know what you're trying to pipette, dial, grab the right one, then dial the right number. Now we can pipette. Now on your desk, there's 2 tip boxes. One is bigger, one is smaller. The blue one goes with the bigger one. The other 2 goes with the little one. So with this one, I am going to grab the bigger pipettes. Make sure to close your lid. Make sure to close your lid. Always have your lid closed. Okay, now I can pipette. Hold your pipette. Push on the plunger with your thumb. Feel there's one click. What do you mean one click? You're going to feel a stop. That's the first stop, first click. And then look at this. I can push down a bit more. It needs more force on my thumb. That's the second click. 1, 2. Feel it first. Grab a pipette. Feel the first one and the second one. This is very important because when you're going to draw liquid, you're going to do the first click outside, not in the liquid, because when you do that, you're going to blow bubble. Do you see that? That's not good for the solution because we're pipetting really small amounts. Sometimes when you blow bubble, all the liquid is everywhere. Now you can't even pipette it. Okay, so push to 1, put it in, release slowly, and you see liquid come up. Now, you see it? Liquid right there. Now I'm going to release. How do I release? I do 1, and I'm going to see a little bit left. How do I get that little bubble off? I do 2. There we go. It's gone. So 1 to draw. 1, 2. Do you see the bubble go away? 1, 2 to actually release the liquid out. 1 to draw it up. 2 to release it. What happens if you do 2 click to draw? You get too much volume. You're not accurate anymore. And also you cannot release all of it. Okay? So that's P1000. Let's go to P200. P200 is the easy one. P200, what's the trick? The trick is what you see is what you get. Let's write that down. What you see is what you get. That's P200. So let's grab P200. That's the yellow one. Okay. And let's say, what do we want? Let's say we want 70 microliters. Let's check 70. 70 is right between 20 and 200. Perfect. So I can use my P200. I said I want 70 microliter. Remember the unit. What do I dial it to? Well, I got a window of 3 numbers again. And right now, what does it say? It says 200 on the window. What you see is what you get. So right now, it's actually going to pipette 200. How do I get to 70 microliter? Let's try that. See if you can get it. Write it down. Write your answer. And let's see if you get it right. 70 microliter. What are you going to dial it to? What you see is what you get. So you're going to dial it to 070. Did you get that right? Because what you see is what you get. 070. That is going to give you 70 microliters. Okay. And indeed, if you look at the P200s, what you see, 200 is what you get, 200 microliter. 100 on the window is 100. 0, 50, 50. Okay, last one, the peach one. How do you use this one? Check. You do the smallest amount, 2 to 20 microliter. Let's say I'm trying to get 5 microliter. How do I pipette? Okay. This one also have a window with 3 numbers. Right now it's 200 with the blue 0. Do you see that? So what you're going to do with P20 is you're going to imagine a decimal right between this 0 and this 0. So right between the last 2 digits, there's a decimal. That's what you are going to write down for P200. You're going to imagine a decimal between the last 2 numbers. So let's say if right now it's 200, I'm going to imagine a decimal, which means 20.0, which means 20 microliter. Okay, so if you look here, 20 P200, 200, remember I'm going to imagine a decimal, 200, a decimal, which means 20 microliter. 050, where do I put the decimal? 050, a decimal, which means 5.0, which means 5 microliter. So if I want to measure 5 microliter on the protocol, I'm going to look here and say, this one doesn't work, this one doesn't work, this one works. So I'm going to grab my P20, and the next thing is, what do I dial it to? I'm going to dial it to 050 because it's going to be 5.0. So let's do that. 050. So if you're the one with a P20, you can now test and see if you can do this. 050, 5 microliter. You get your tip. You're going to do 1 click. You're going to draw your liquid. Do you see how little that is? That's 5 microliters. We're measuring not a lot, 5 microliters. And then I'm going to release it. 2 to release. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, to release. And then now I have 5 microliters. Okay, that's it. So you'll need this ability because later on we're going to do a serial dilution challenge, and you're going to make sure you know how to pipette and find the right pipette. Refer back to page 8 of your lab manual.